Congratulations, everyone. Welcome to EverQuest 2 Insider. This is a new episode. It's going to be July Q&A. And thank you guys for tuning in. I am Margaret Luperza Crone, your host for the evening, and I have a new Twitter handle, so it's Margaret Crone if you've been following along with us. And with me is...
Michael Gans. I'm Zelgud on the forums. I do most of the system stuff for EverQuest 2.
Kyle Valee, Candor on the forums, level 100 lead designer.
I like how that's still there.
It's still there.
We're going to keep it forever. And then on the couch over there, we have...
I'm Holly Longdale, the senior producer of EverQuest 2.
Level 100. See.
Level, yeah.
Yeah. So before we start off our Q&A, we are going to announce the winners of the summer contest for June. So let's get those onto the screen here. Our first one is called A Summer Day with Friends by Raymond Voel.
Yay.
And thank you so much for sending this in. And his response was, or his little blurb was, I'm going fishing with my friends, the sun is shining, and we have lots of fun. And I thought this was really cute. We had a whole bunch of different community members kind of pick out who the winners were for this. And there's so many good ones. Oh, what's happening? Spencer. Instead of Fire Andre 2014, we need Fire Spencer 2014. Our next one here is called Summer Breeze by Laura Roberts. So congratulations, Laura Roberts. And her description is pirates relaxing and celebrating the treasure they found. That's nice.
Why is there no blood in these?
There's no blood.
They're enjoying.
Where's
they're
the
on
rum if
vacation.
there's pirates?
They wash it off with the water. You know, where's the loot?
It's off camera.
Oh, it's off camera. Okay.
Blood and loot.
I was wondering where the loot was.
I'm more concerned about the rum.
Okay. Well, maybe it could be in those little mugs. They got little cups
mugs
there. Yeah, they got. They
Don't judge.
Looks like wine
mugs.
cups.
He's like, that's wine. That is not rum.
You're confused.
They have cake though.
Okay, fine.
So.
Oh, I thought that was a wheel of cheese.
Well, I'm gonna say it's cake. It's like red velvet cake. So we have Summer Party Fun as the final winner, and this is by Lynn Baker, and its description is relaxing in the summer breeze. And I thought this one was really, really
awesome.
good. Love it. And there's so many amazing people who put in a whole bunch of photos. It was really hard to pick the winner this time. So thank you guys so much. Our next one we're going to be announcing next Wednesday during our next EverQuest 2 Insider. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a really fun one. It's going to be more of like a caption photo contest. So I think it'll be really interesting. I hope there's going to be a lot of funny ones. That's what I'm hoping for, funny ones, because I got to laugh more. So let's move right into the questions. And so you guys submitted a whole bunch of them to us on the forums, on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, all the places, and I've compiled them. Do note that I have summarized these and paraphrased them. They're not the same exact questions that you guys had, because, come on people, one sentence, not a paragraph. I can't read a paragraph on here. So let's get this started. Number one is, would it be possible to use Blessing of Zegani as an appearance mount item so that we can use our own wings when we are on our flying mounts?
Well, yeah, it is a possibility, and I've added it to a list of, I keep a list of ongoing things. If you looked at my whiteboard in my office, you'd see it just filled up.
It's exclusive.
No,
you're not allowed to see it.
there's things that I don't. But I've added it to the list of things we're interested in doing in the future, but I'm not going to lie, it's pretty low priority, so sometime you'll probably see it, but not right now.
All right. Would you ever consider adding Yelnar's research prism to a merchant so that it can be purchased for Edema or Farsi's tokens? And Moon Panther added he or she would also absolutely love this. He'd even pay station cash for this.
Got bad news for you, Moon Panther. Right now, we don't have any plans to change the way Yelnar's research prism is obtained, so sorry.
And that question was actually brought to you by Senya. You'll see in the
a little right hand. Sorry, Senya.
But Moon Panther was adding a little bit of I agree kind of thing. And then we have any chance we can get a neck charm and or lighting appearance slot. And Kenneth and Griffin Lady both submitted questions. And there was a bunch of you who submitted questions on neck appearance slots.
Unlikely. Sorry, guys.
Is that a performance thing?
It's more than just like, oh, 2 seconds, we can go click, click, click. It's done. It's not something that it would take resources away from more important tasks, and it's not actually on the design side as well. So we'd have to go through all the process of having art and more code, and our appearance windows already.
To be honest, we'd have to split so many things. So we would have to probably split either the breastplate or something to do with the face, it adds
Yeah.
a lot more in resources. And we did do, so we have rings and bracelets and stuff, and they're
Oh, yeah.
not that popular. So we don't see a need that necklaces would be so much more popular.
They're hard to see.
Right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
And a lot of armor and robes to cover them up. so-
Exactly, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
There's a paw of Opala. You can put that on, and it has a neck appearance on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
A little hand that like tries to grab the guy next to you.
That's not creepy at all. I just thought that we would, talk a little bit more about that because there were so
Yeah.
many of you that did submit questions regarding that. And our next question is here, would it be possible to have Armatal's ring mail purse only show the pink circle to the group it's active on, as it only affects your group and not the raid? And this was a lot of people agreed with Fredero here, so.
Yeah, well, possible? Yeah, it is possible. Likely to happen? Not so much. So it's not something that's just a simple 2-second change that we can just go, hey, let's make this only show here. It would take some major resources away and a decent amount of time, and I'd have to redesign a lot about that item. And then there's all of the other items that are similar to it that people would probably want the same thing to. Right now, it's probably not going to happen because it's just more time than we have resources for. Just the honest answer.
All right. And a lot of people have just been saying that it's a little confusing, and that's the main reason why.
Yeah, and we understand that, and we're going to reduce the number of those type of items and keep them minimal. There weren't really that many of them right now, and when we make a new one, we'll probably try and from the ground up.
Make
it'll
sure the
be a little
system
bit easier.
at the base is a little bit more intuitive.
Yeah, so at the ground up, it'll be easier if we do it than redoing this one.
Gotcha. Makes sense. And then we have Aristi, who said, will wisdom ever be reworked so it's used by your healing abilities?
That is extremely unlikely because making such a change would require an ungodly amount of game rebalance, not just in the high end, all the way through starting levels, different tiers of content within the same level range. It's just not something that's the amount of. I don't even want to begin to think about that. The amount of time that would have, there would be some major cuts from something else to get that done.
And that's one of those things, if we did that, everything else would change with it. We wouldn't just do wisdom, it would be a complete reworking of how the game works.
This one was just a brutal change that's, it's just unreal.
So I guess to follow up with that, since that was such a big thing for the community.
Hi.
Oh, so that we're looking at each other.
I just
with wisdom and the current way that it's used, are there ways that you're going to try to make it a little bit more?
So first off, it obviously controls your power pool, which granted is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Priests, we do consider priests, it is now part of their job to inflict damage, so it's not useless, it's not super good. It doesn't really help their healing, besides you can heal more with more power. There are some abilities that are based off your primary attribute, and you might see more of that type of stuff in the future, but I don't have anything that is ready to be presented.
Gotcha. I just wanted to, give it a little bit more attention.
No, we know about the desires to have the primary stats, especially wisdom, since it doesn't affect their heals, a little bit more desirable in that aspect, but not right now. I don't have anything to show.
Okay, cool deal. And we have Griffin Lady, who said, could we get a channel for guides and events? I'd even pay Station Cash for access to that.
I don't see why not. I don't know that we're limited to how many channels we can have. The problem is anything that we add requires some UI rework because we have to add it, somewhere so it exists. I suppose we could also just add it and say, yeah, now there's a, /guide or /event channel, but
Okay.
it's definitely possible.
All right. And then we have Devils, who says, will there be a new currency introduced in order to consolidate some of the plat that some players have? For instance, ethereal items are selling for 15 to 20k plat on AB, which is Antonio Bale. It'd be great if they could be listed above 9,999 plat.
Yeah, we're talking about doing three things. We're talking about removing copper, adding something above platinum, say like a mithril, so like 100 plat equals a mithril. And then we're also going to hopefully raise the price that you can list things. If we did the mithril thing, then we'd just have to add it to the broker, and then we wouldn't have to worry about it too much, because what's 9,999 times 100?
It's pretty big.
It's a lot.
So yeah, but we're talking about it, and it's something that we might actually do next year.
Oh, so something to look forward to in that regard.
Yeah, it's our code list for the expansion is a pretty vast pile, so it likely won't happen before the expansion, but it's something that we've been talking about
They're
doing.
working pretty crazily on it. I've gotten to see some really awesome areas and art, and you guys are going to love it. See, this is the beauty of being community manager. You get to see all the cool stuff before you guys. And then we have Desiraya, who says, can we have more ways to organize our banks, perhaps added tabs? And there were a lot of questions regarding tabs and organization and banks and depots. So if one of you guys want to take that.
Yeah, we've been talking about adding some more tabs.
But nothing set in stone yet.
Yeah, nothing set in stone. We have been discussing ways to make more room to add more, stuff for organization. So it's on the list.
Sweet. It's on the list. And then Desiree also has another question here. Will we ever see more guide events and rewards added?
Sure, if the guide program wants more stuff to do, they should contact us.
Yeah, we have a contact within our community team who handles most of the guide events and stuff like that. And every year we meet up with them and we're always like, what kind of stuff would you like? What kind of stuff do you need? And the dev team has been great about consistently being like, all right, these are the things that you need. Let us make sure that you guys have that. So if you're a guide and you know your senior guides, make sure you go talk to them and tell them to contact their community rep, and we will make sure that you guys get all kinds of new fun stuff. Our next question is from Felden. Oh, Felden, we know you too well. Will we ever have an in-game voting for features and specific development resources like PlanetSide 2 is adopted? I don't know who wants to take that one.
No.
I doubt it.
First of all, he had mentioned that they had a voting system and then that's how it had worked, and it was working successfully. Actually, PlanetSide 2 has strayed away from the voting system. They are trying to go back to like a normal forums type of thing, but they are doing a development roadmap, and that's something that we've talked about, the EQ2 development calendar, and we're wanting to kind of integrate that with the forums and then also in-game calendar and have it really easily accessible for those of you who are in-game and those of you who are not, and take you straight to the forum so you can leave your feedback on each of the different things that are coming up in the future. Mainly the big topics. Obviously there will be some stuff on the side that we'll be introducing as well. But that's something that we're working on. I'm still working with Holly on getting that all set up, but the forum side of it's set up. We just need to work on the in-game connection.
Yep.
All right. And then another question from Felden is, will we see more census data being added in the future for things like quests, NPCs, zones, collections, AA named lists, leaderboards, and loot drops?
I'd say potentially, but right now we think it's probably best use of our coders' time to be working on the expansion features. So while we appreciate Felden certainly has an interest in this.
And it's not only just an interest, there's a lot of people that come to his site for content.
Absolutely. Not arguing that it's a really valuable thing to do, and we will get to it, but right now we're all hands on deck on the expansion right now, and that's where we should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goodness. All the goodness of expansion. We have Lucas who says, in the future, when running a quest for the latest quested accessories, could we see quests award not one ring, wrist, or earring, but pairs of them?
I mean, certain quests might reward multiple items, but that's the exception, not really the rule. So you might see one or two, but probably not.
I think the main thing is he wants the pair. He wants to be like,
yeah.
I have a pair of earrings and now I can go into combat.
But when we release,
we can reduce the number of earring slots.
Yeah, I mean, when we give out rewards, we like spreading them out. We'd rather you do 2 quests and get 2 rewards from 2 different quests than 1 quest that actually just doesn't give you 1. Right? So we have a limited number of items that we don't. It's not infinite. So. Yeah. And especially since we're trying to be unique with jewelry slots, so we're gonna run out of things to give out if we gave you doubles on a lot of those quests, especially on.
In Norath, you don't wear earrings that match. That's not the style. That's not the fashion.
That's funny.
It's actually considered a major no-no.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to be that person. Sorry, I'm trying to make it a little lighthearted. Our next question from Lucas is, Order of Rhyme faction quests in Kunark are based upon a few repeatable quests. 3, I think. Could we see a daily cycle set of plus 2,000 faction quests like the ones we can get from Bathazid's Watch and Rala's?
So we don't have any plan to change any of the old faction stuff.
Okay.
We are discussing
Future?
doing faction potions or something where that might give you a bonus amount of faction when you're doing factions. But older faction quests like that, like Order of Rhyme or the Kunark ones, we don't have any plan to change those.
Okay.
It's time consuming and it's, you know, not on the immediate priority list.
What about, since, I mean, the past is that's a good point, but what about the future, going into the future? What are you guys looking at doing in order to make factions grinding?
We've stopped using factions pretty much. In fact, I don't think we've had a faction for the past 2 or 3 expansions. They're not super popular. They are kind of grindy. We already did some stuff with this expansion that people feel is a bit on the grindy side, so we're going to try to make a concerted effort to make things a little less grindy.
More fun.
And
We're like graded, not grindy.
More graded, less
and factions are something that are cool for certain things, like live events, but I think we might use them in the future. You never know. Actually, we're talking about using them for expansion 12. So yes, we plan that far ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
And we do now.
There you go. You got a little bit more info on that.
More info than you needed.
And then another question we have from Lucas, which is, would you ever consider changing rarity loot cards so that they are no longer a tunable or no trade, since they can only be used on one character?
I mean, ever? Well, we may, but right now we don't have any plans of messing with the loot cards right this moment.
All right. And pants. Will we see any changes coming for conjurer pets in the future?
Conjurer pets? No. Summoner pets. Summoner pets are actually a bit of a sore subject for me, particular, and a little bit around the office.
I think for anybody who plays right now as well.
No, the mage one's fine. Long story short is, I intend to rewrite the AI for all of the summoner pets. By me just saying that, I hope you guys can understand that rewriting the AI for all of the summoner pets is not an easy task.
It's not trivial.
Yeah, it's actually pretty monumental. I don't have a time frame at the moment. It's one of the highest things on my, hey, I'd like to do this list. It's not going to happen for the expansion.
Which is like
that is not going to happen. But hopefully sometime in the next year I'll be able to get to it. I'm not promising anything, but it is something I really want to do.
All right. Another question for Pants. Will you ever consider removing the level 95 restriction on the 350 AAs? So recently, if you didn't know, there's been 10 new AAs that have been added, and you have to be level 95 in order to attain them.
No. I mean, no, it's not going to happen.
And you might want to explain, there's a very specific reason why we do that.
We have it so that if you're at 350 AAs, you've earned it, you're level 95, you can't grind at low levels. So we like...
It's a balance issue, right?
It's balanced to an extent, and the other thing is we want to give you a benefit for actually being at level 95 and give you, so you can't just pre-grind them. It's actually really important.
It's also part of the. There's a reason like why we put a 280 requirement for you to level past a certain level. It helps us know where the power of players are, right?
Mm-hmm. So when you're going into those dungeons, a lot of those things are balanced around that.
It lets us be more specific.
It's like chances are future AAs will also require you to be 95 or higher, so it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's better for everyone. You know,
and players can
but
know.
Mostly it's better for us.
We're not going to lie about that.
All right. And we have Tabri here who says, would you ever consider changing conjurer/summoner pets so that they share stats with gear and AA lines?
So Tabri, they do share most stats with players. There are no current plans to change which stats share right now.
I think that was more so. The thing was that
we're not going to be changing. Well, there's another question about that in a few seconds, so I'll expand on my answer when that one comes up. But
or you could answer them both at the same time.
If she wants to switch the question.
The next one right after.
I think so.
Save us all some misery.
Are you looking into ways to make it easier for us to tell what stats our pets are sharing and what stats they are not sharing with our characters?
So to continue with this one and the last one, we're looking at better ways for pet users to see their pet stats, but we don't have any plans to change the stat sharing again. I mean, we just recently made some adjustments, and we're kind of happy with where they're at right now. Obviously, we'll reevaluate as necessary. It's not like, oh, we're never touching these again ever. It's done. It's not like that. But
I think his or her more concerns are more so around the not knowing which ones I share them with and which ones I don't. So maybe if there's a UI bit or something like that.
Well, again, that's a lot of UI work, so it's not we can instantly turn something on and flip a switch and it'll just happen. We understand. We're looking at ways for you to see your pet stats better is pretty much all I can go into.
Okay. Easy enough. That's an answer.
We would like for you to be able to see your pet stats better.
All right. And another question from Tabry here is, will you ever make pedomorph wands that persist through death?
So no, and there's a reason for this.
There's a good reason for it.
Okay.
This is actually a much more time-consuming process than most people would expect, because it requires us to change. We have to, without going too much into the nitty-gritty, we have to change the base functionality from the ground up and basically redesign every single one of them that's already in the game by hand. It's not something I can do globally. So
there are systems in there that do not communicate with each other and never have.
Right, and when we did this for, we did something similar for summoner pet spells, because those were major balance concerns in combat, and it took a really long time to actually get that done. For something that's just cosmetic, it's not something that's worth our time it's not worth our time over something else like prestige abilities.
Yeah, you only have so many resources, so you have to put them in the right baskets, right?
Right.
If you put all the eggs in one basket, then all the other baskets are lonely.
And it's something that's purely cosmetic. So
yeah.
All right. And we have Tabry again with, will tinkered items ever be stackable?
Yeah, probably in early 2015. It's not. We want to do it. Yeah. Well, I'm not the one doing it, so I'm just committing Keith to it.
Okay.
But probably in early 2015.
I've been adding Keith to a lot of PMs. Sorry, Keith.
It's on the list.
Yeah, it's on Keith. He's the one who actually. I'm not adding anywhere for him.
Yeah.
He told me that's when he would get it done.
Cool. Yeah, these guys were great. They took a lot of the questions that I sent over their way and kind of talked to the other designers as well. So you have the whole designer team being represented. We have Flatline here, so it says, can you consider making Edema convertible into the new currency?
So I feel like my popularity is going down a lot because I keep having to say no, but that would defeat the entire.
No.
I want to know what's going on in chat over there. They keep giggling.
That would defeat the entire purpose of having a new currency. But we're not going to say, oh yeah, we're stopping using it. There will be new useful ways to spend your Atma, but we're not going to let you convert it into new stuff.
You've talked about that in a previous.
Yeah, we're exploring, things we'll let you do with Atma and past currencies. It'll also be, added to the list that you can blow it up and make transmutables or whatever we did with that.
Okay. Fun times. And Flatline with another question. Have you ever considered reducing the recast on Bloodletter? What was the reasoning for making the recast time the way it is? And remember, I have reworded a lot of these. And just so you guys know, asking questions in a polite way will get you answers.
Class balance is always ongoing. But that said, we currently don't have any plans right this second to change Bloodletter. In our opinion, the recast on Bloodletter isn't excessive. And I assume that you're more concerned about it can't be cast in combat.
Yeah.
But
I was just gonna say.
While we don't have any plans to change it right now, that's not something. Again, it's not to say nothing will ever change. It's just we're not looking at it right this second.
Okay. And then
but
for
again,
the other half of that, what was the reasoning behind making it have that recast whenever?
We don't think it's excessive, so we don't really have any negative reasons or positive reasons. We don't think it's an excessive recast.
I have a really cool idea for that, by the way.
Are you willing to share with the class?
For Bloodletter, no.
It's just an idea.
We'll talk about it after.
No.
Maybe this is your time to propose it to people.
Hope maybe a future prestige or something like that, but I have a cool idea for that.
Okay.
It's really cool.
Now you just get your wheels turning and try to figure out what the cryptic answer was.
Dun dun
dun dun dun. Flatline with another question. Will you ever make character slots, mercs, and or research assistants giftable items? And I love this. I think it'd be kind of cool. I like how they both immediately look at hi.
It's the marketplace, hey.
And Andre was ready. He already had her on the
like,
screen.
what? Yeah. Yeah, we'll look into it.
Cool.
I can't see a reason why not.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then we have Ellis with, would you consider allowing Mark of Awakened as an appearance item?
Well, going back to what we said earlier about neck
It's a neck
jewelry.
appearance.
It's a jewelry item. We're not going to be making jewelry appearance items. Sorry.
This one was requested a lot, specifically.
The one thing we could do at that though is we could script it on like an appearance breastplate, maybe.
Yeah, or we can make an illusion or a particle effect that you can activate and get something like that. Obviously, it's just the floating mark that Ellis wants, so that's not impossible. The jewelry appearance loss is not going to happen.
It's like anytime we talk about this stuff,
it's a status thing. Like you did the Mark of Awaken quest, so it's kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool to have that if you wanted it, but maybe we could make a way to give you a bauble or something if you've done the quest that you can cast it.
This is all great, and I don't disagree at all. And you'll hear us often say, or you have been, that it goes on the list. Every time we focus away on what we're doing now on new awesome stuff, that's what happens. You lose something in the future when we take care of stuff in the past.
Neck particle effect?
And it's not.
Or new weapon.
These guys are great about responding as quickly as possible, and they do a lot of great stuff even on a weekly basis. And we don't obviously bugs are a high priority and stuff that's just flat out broken. But yeah, we discuss these things. Sometimes we feel it's a good use of our time to give you those status items that you can walk around and brag about and show that you've actually done this really difficult content. So yeah, I just want to. We don't like saying it's on our list or ever-growing list of things to do, but we're constantly, and these guys are great at constantly balancing priorities and figuring out what's the right thing to do.
It's like you just put stuff on, each side, and you're like, all right, this one's getting a little heavy. Move over there.
Right.
Development's always interesting in that regard.
Mark of the Awakened bauble, no quests in the expansion.
And that's about
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
And then we have Moralina who says, will Erelisimar ever be a worshipful deity? And this is something that you guys had talked about.
That's a good question.
Comes up a lot.
Yeah. Well, it was talked about in the past. Yeah.
We have a proposed deity revamp idea.
And that's what it is right now.
We've just committed.
No, it's more than just an idea.
It's a great idea.
It's a pretty plausible thing. We're planning on.
He's hedging now.
We're thinking about doing it early next year or maybe summertime. Part of next expansion. But
we want to do something with it.
To be clear, part of the plan is to make Erelisi a worshipable deity. So it's on our list. It's something we would like to do. We're very fond of her. So
they're very fond of her too.
Yes. So
we know you love.
Love.
If when we do,
you like that?
If when we do a possible deity revamp, we would definitely take the time to add her to the worshipable deities.
All right.
She's on.
That was like the most.
She's on the absolute. She's on the absolute top of our list.
Wow.
In a deity revamp.
But the deity revamp, I think, it's going to be awesome. The ideas these guys have it's going to be great. Yeah.
Offline, I'm finding out about this. All right, moving on to the next question. Error. High-end raid zones are experiencing some lag, specifically Mutagenic Outcast and Dreadcutter. What is being worked on in order to resolve the issue? Is there any way we can help? And I've rewarded this one as well.
Well, we're always working on that. We're always trying to improve performance. We have some changes coming up in the near future that might actually help a lot with performance. So I'm hearing.
Yes.
And I mean, I believe the Mutagenic Outcast has an issue because of the number of ads, which I believe we've reduced.
And we're being conscientious of how many ads we put in.
Yeah. And so the other thing is when we run into something like the Dreadcutter, we try to never do that again if it creates that kind of issue, right? So.
Learning experiences.
Well, no, I mean it's some people lag, some people don't. Like fixing it, the cure-all pill. Do you take the red pill or the blue pill? That doesn't exist.
Yeah, and there's so many things that contribute to latency that, I mean, not all of it's some of it's through the server, some of it's through a spell can cause lag, mobs can cause lag, procs, like all kinds of things, and some of it's completely out of our control. Like you could be being routed through some weird node and getting some major latency. So, and we try, even when those happens, we try to research and figure out what's going on. But we're working on it.
And I always try really hard to work with these guys
priority
in giving them feedback. I mean, we've had problems in the past where we've resolved them, and you guys are great about giving feedback, so just continue to do that. Let us know exactly specific details on what you're experiencing so we can go forward and try to resolve them and repro them.
And we sometimes get trace routes from some players to see if there's a node they're hitting that's awkward. We've gone through, I mean, Holly's really gone through and tried to get our office ops and our operations to figure out what's going on when it's hitting some weird node. But
especially when it's affecting lots of players at once. So.
Yeah, we're usually notified
pretty quickly.
Yeah, even from community, there's always someone
as
watching.
Soon as there's like a page plus with the stuff, I'm already like, hey, there's issues. Look at this.
But I'm not going to promise anything, but they did actually just do a back-end thing that seems like it's helping frame rate. So that could be really super exciting.
We're doing lots of stuff. One of our guys right now is doing some upgrades on our back end, and we're already seeing some performance gains from that. And we'll be releasing that before the expansion. Hopefully, I think it was August or September, probably after SOE Live, just in case.
I think the plan was to put it on test and beta for a while to make sure nothing explodes.
Yeah, and thank you guys.
That's the plan.
Thank all of you guys.
So when you open your launcher and test server just as this mushroom cloud symbol,
then you know it didn't go so well.
Right.
Oh,
you might have to change some colons.
You mean physical colons?
Era has another question here. How do you feel the changes implemented for tanking and healing in this expansion have worked and not worked? Are you looking into more changes in the future regarding these?
Well, we're pretty happy with the way tanking and healing has changed with Tears of Ishan. And obviously with each expansion we try to improve the game, right? So we can try to improve the balance. So long story short, we did not like the state of the game before with tanking and healing before this expansion. It's much better in our opinion now, and we're working to keep improving it as we go. We don't want tanks just sitting there going, oh, if I don't stone skin every attack, I'm going to die, like Genra was originally, and that made us sad. So yeah, we're pretty happy with it, and we're always looking at making it better. So we don't want one shots that are not like a fail condition or something that you know is coming, like a telegraphed move. I mean, obviously it can happen if you mess up a script or take a hit you shouldn't, or somebody doesn't debuff, but that's just part of the game.
Everyone debuffs. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Multiple ways to get around an issue.
Yes,
I think is the main goal, right?
Yeah, but
so there's core things that are happening with each of the bosses, and there are multiple ways to counter that.
Yeah, to answer the question, yeah, we're pretty. We feel they went pretty well. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but that's life. We're working on improving everything.
Are there any ways that you guys are looking at that data and then maybe making changes in the future for them?
Well, we're constantly looking at the data, right? Yeah. So we have the parses, we have information. We make sure that we have a raid council meeting every week. Kyle, myself, and a couple of other designers always come in there and talk about it. And we try to make sure that the raids are fun, the healing and the tanking uses their abilities without having to do weird, crazy stacking stuff to prevent all damage for 8 minutes straight.
And you guys talk with a lot of the core raiders as well on a daily basis. You guys are pretty
we all have specific raiders. We have the raid council. We have all kinds of things that we're communicating with about to make improvements. So it'll never be done. We'll put it that way.
I know you mentioned a lot about raiding, but what about like soloing and grouping as far as tanking?
We're pretty happy with those as well. We make focus items for soloing to make sure people have the survivability that they need. Items that heal over time, items that you can click to get some extra healing. as tanks. Some of them are even more damage for tanks and healers when they're by themselves to make up for their deficiencies. So, and obviously there's the mercenary to help
Just want to make sure we got them all out there because we did talk about raiding quite a bit there. Moving to the next question is, would it be plausible to have the appearance tab have an area for us to store all of our appearance gear? And this is something that I think a lot of people have talked about in the past, is if they could just have all their appearance gear be in one area, it'd make it a lot easier.
This is another one of those goes in there with the deity revamp. we actually have a document for what we call a now I forgot what we were calling it. A wardrobe.
Wardrobe.
Yeah. So it's something we would like to do. We've talked about it. We've talked about it with code. It's just finding the place to fit it. This expansion, there's a lot of stuff that we're doing itemization-wise and balance-wise, so there's not going to be as much time for stuff like this, but it's something we would like to do.
All right. We have Tominator. It's almost like a tomato, but not. Will skeleton and other illusions ever stay on while we're on a mount or in a mounted zone?
Didn't we just fix that?
Tom was working on something for that. I don't know if it's live.
I don't know if it's live, but we were working on a fix for that so that humanoidish illusions would remain on when you were mounted. So
there you go.
It's being worked on. I don't know if it's live yet.
I thought we fixed it, but yes, sometime soon.
Kurai Hitaka, would you ever consider removing no value, no trade tags from looted equipment? Moving away from heirloom only lore equip items. Would be nice to give those to an alt, sell them, or trade them.
So if it comes from an instance, it's probably going to be heirloom, and that's just the way we like it. We want you to go run the instance, preferably. If it comes from a quest, it's probably going to be no trade. Some items are no value. Generally, no value has a major reason for it. I can't even think of any real like drops that are no value off the top of my head. So yeah, about that, I don't know. Maybe it's like what items. Yeah, too. Older content, we're probably not going to go back and change that type of stuff. If it comes from an overland or a contested zone, it has a very good chance of being tradable. And we like the system the way it is. We like you running the content yourself. So it's probably not going to be changed from that system that I just outlined.
All right. And then we have Selinaire who says, could we get a separate tab for an illusion item, for all illusion items? Kind of in the same category as the other one.
I like big bags, and I cannot lie. We're probably not going to give you a new tab for illusion items or a bag or anything like that. We just released a, what is it, 66 slot bag? You have more space now to hold your illusion items, so probably not.
So what you're saying is you want more hot bars?
Yes.
Yes, they want more. Yeah.
Who doesn't want more hot bars?
Maybe illusion hot bar. So our next question by Selinaire is, are saleable ships and ocean expansions something we may see in the future in a future expansion? No. All right, that was an easy one. Siren says, will we see more in-game polling? And this is something that a couple of different people mentioned, was that not everyone goes to the forums, so asking questions there can be difficult sometimes. So is there a way that you guys
Sure,
can do
we discuss new in-game polls all the time.
Yeah. So. All right. So maybe we'll try to, I'll work with these guys, we'll try to make some more of those. Many as possible, we'll just spam you. No, I'm just kidding. Next question is, any plans to make PvP-centric master-crafted gear?
So not direct. There will be gear there will be PvP mastercrafted gear that works in PvP, but there's not going to be any PvP specific mastercrafted gear.
I think that's what they were more so going for, was that right now, you know, like mastercrafted gear is not always the best for PvP.
It won't be the best for PvP regardless. Okay. But there's gear that will be effective in PvP that's mastercrafted. So.
Okay. All right. The next one is, what can we expect to see in the future regarding PvP? And this is by T.S. Throat.
I don't even know. The Rowan Theer, we got a new battleground coming soon. It takes place on Rowan Theer's platform. We've been working on it for a little bit. I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. So,
what is it gonna be 6-on-6 deathmatch?
Keith and I discussed it, it was going to be 6-on-6 deathmatch.
Okay.
2 teams. We originally wanted to do 4, but then the system said, ha ha ha, no. So it's 2 teams. The platforms don't drop, but there's reasons to be standing in specific places and reasons not to be standing in other places. So, and the battleground will change dynamically, so it'll be pretty interesting in my opinion.
I've heard a bit about this one, and it actually seems really, really cool.
Yeah,
and I'm like I love PvP.
And I can give the hint that it uses the same floor layout as the chamber of the automaton. The challenge duo zone. It uses that type of floor layout rather than Rowan Thier's floor layout.
All right.
Yeah, having, what is it, 48, 56 transports moving
At once
creates a whole other ocean of problems.
All right, next one is, are there any plans to further enhance the Warzone? And they give a bunch of different examples. I can read off those if you'd like.
No,
Warfield within
you don't need to
Warzone,
read it.
2-hour timer, daily quests, solo mobs, etc.
So Keith and I are looking at ways we can enhance the war zones, but we don't really have anything firmly on the schedule right now. But we like the concept, and we are looking at making them more desirable, but we don't have any specific plans for it at this second.
All right.
They're also relatively low. I mean, not low, but we could do some new ones in the future also. So they're not incredibly hard to implement. They're just, the first one was.
Now they're not as hard.
The basic
but
systems.
it does take a little bit of time, so it's not something that's just like, oh, we can implement one every day.
Yeah, we can't just shoot them out weekly, but yeah.
All right. And then we have Decui, who says, will jewelry and weapons ever have a cannibalizer option?
Well, if you mean health to power cannibalize, perhaps. If you mean like a transmuting style system,
I think it means
also
Perhaps.
I think they mean transmuting.
But yeah, no. So I was just hitting both. I wasn't sure.
I like both of those options.
But
Give them both to me.
Either way, perhaps.
All right. And now we have another question from Decui, which is, will we ever see any changes to how Fame works, making it harder to stay at Overlord/Warlord?
Right now, we don't have any plans of changing how Fame works, so sorry.
And you guys just recently
we did recently change it, so we're letting it sit for a little bit before. And like I said, we don't have any plans of changing it at this point in time.
All right. And Alamana says, will we see new spells and combat arts when we level up to 100?
So, you're not going to like the answer. You will see the upgrades, and you'll see new prestige abilities, but you're not going to see any new auto-granted abilities like Exacting was back in the day, and you're not going to see any new abilities like that. We're moving those towards the prestige, where you get to pick which ones you get, rather than we're going to grant them to you. Because the prestige system is going to continue from 96 to 100, so you'll have 25 more points to spend.
I know some things that are coming down.
We'd rather give you options than force
and they'll be in they'll be in a new tab, so you won't. Sorry guys, you're probably not going to be able to go put more on the existing page.
All right.
I'll be honest, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We have Griffin Lady once again, who says, can we get Dungeon Maker spawners?
What are those?
Basically, it's like if you have a hive and it spawns bees, that kind of thing.
Oh.
So like you can put something in an area.
Probably not.
Probably not,
Yeah. All right. And we have Ogdemar, who says, will you keep the gem system for armor? Please do. I like it personally.
Good news, Ogdemar. I like it personally too, so it's going to keep going. Yeah, we actually really like the gem upgrading system, so we intend to keep using gems.
All right. And we have another question by this fellow or madam. Can we see more in the ways of MC Fabled armor? Though I am a raider, I play all aspects of the game.
Yeah, so as we go forward, you and others will find it
You said others, like really oddly.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means something. It'll be very beneficial for you to participate in all aspects of the game, more than just raiding. And we like that as a team, so I know some people don't and some people do, but we like it, so that's where it's going to be.
It's like we like it, so
We have
just
some
deal.
cool stuff planned for the expansion.
Well, when there's a 50-50 split, the tiebreaker goes to me, right?
It's true, touche. All right. And can tanks expect to see, keep seeing the procs on proc on avoid procs on gear in the next expansion?
Yeah, we intend to keep giving those. First off, obviously, we're not going to take away those tank items that you already have that are like that. Also, these effects give us fun ways to, and it's a slightly different mechanic that we haven't really used that much in the past. So we really like that method for giving tank specific effects without actually having to make them tank only equipable. So yeah, we like those a lot.
All right, and that's it for our systems and design questions. And I do have about like 40 other questions here. And since we do have more time, I'm going to be just reading them off my handy dandy paper. I was going to say notebook, but that didn't work. We have Niramson, who says, will we ever see, and these are mostly housing and trade skilling questions that are going to be coming up here. Will we ever get triangular, circular, spherical, and semi-spherical building blocks?
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it's possible.
Possible.
So.
All the shapes. Gotta catch them all.
Dodecahedrons.
No.
He's like, no, not on that one. We have Outlaw, who wants to know, would you ever consider upgrading the components for Adorning? It'd be nice to craft them into higher tier versions similar to the way that Dust have recipes.
So we don't really have any plans to let you upgrade your lower tier Adorning components into higher tier Adorning components. There are plans to make those resources useful for something that I can't really tell you about right now.
Fantastic.
But
Something in the future.
Yes, but there will be uses for them, but we're not going to let you upgrade them.
All right. And we have a few more questions by Griffin Lady here. They're all kind of similar
That's
in
a
some
repeat.
sense. We will, yeah. Will we ever get any appearance gear storage locations like wardrobes?
Yeah, maybe, like we said.
All right.
Someday.
Refer to question answered 11 minutes ago.
And any chances of tabs in the depot so we can get set different permission levels?
We don't have any plans to add tabs to the depots. Guild banks are available for tab-based permissions, and it would be a nightmare for us to implement that, so sorry.
I will say that this one is something that I personally would like to see, just because it would make it easier for me to share specific things with specific people and keep a slot that's
I would
open
like
for
a solid
everyone.
gold toilet.
I'm just saying, like,
we can't all have
you know,
what we
if
want.
there's a tiebreaker in there, I want in on that.
It's not about a tiebreaker. It's just the logistics of that are not something that we have the time to deal with right now.
Okay. Have you ever thought about creating a search/advertising engine for Housing and Dungeon Maker that would allow players to rate them?
Thought about it? I mean, we think about it a lot, but
Yes.
Yes,
A system
we do
like
think
that
about
is pretty
it.
drastic. All right, and then we have Cat Sun, who says, would it be possible to add a search option
To moving boxes.
to moving boxes? There we go.
I'm sure it would be possible.
yeah, we haven't even thought about that type of stuff. So
Yeah,
I
sometimes
mean,
they're looking for specific things.
yeah,
in
again,
the
it-
box.
It's a good idea, and it's something we should probably add to the bucket of awesome. It's actually a good idea.
yeah.
Cool. There you go, Cat Sun.
Making
And then we
mental note.
They have this, don't worry. Desiree asks, will the level increase for the expansion, well, with the level increase for the expansion, will trade skilling levels increase as well?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
No. Not
We're
you
never
guys.
increasing trade skill levels again, ever. Yeah, they go up together.
Another question from him or her is, would you ever consider creating a portal that will allow guilds to travel from one guild's hall to the next? This would be really helpful for guilds who ally with one another.
No, that's just not something that's really viable for us right now.
Okay. And Ariste says, are there any plans to make more wearable top-end gear be crafted from rare components outside
Yes.
of raid?
Yes,
dropped
there will be
components?
items from crafting that are comparable to raid gear in this next expansion.
And that are not
Yes.
in the outside?
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Go you guys. Lots of money. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. We have another thing that's here from Ariste, which is, are there plans to make more dropped gear experimentable in order to increase stats?
Experimentation will remain linked to crafted items for the foreseeable future. Obviously,
What's the reasoning behind that exactly?
because it's a crafting system.
All right.
The unforeseen
Crafters
future.
only.
The unforeseen future, however, as you can see, is unforeseen. So maybe, but
Way
not
Way to
right
be
now.
really cryptic about that one.
Can I take a?
Oh, yeah.
I now have access to the
She
chat.
has access. She has the power.
Yeah, so I saw here there's a lot of questions about Dungeon Maker in general.
Okay.
So we can say to start with, we don't have There's some things we want to do to improve it, probably maybe around the expansion, maybe shortly after. We're going to spend some time looking at it. One of the things we want to focus on, it's a decorator's realm, so we probably want to help improve that, do a touring mode, hopefully support voting a little better. But there's some pretty awesomely broken things about it right now, in our opinion. But that said, again, we always go to the community. We'll be talking to our decorators and dungeon makers about it.
In-game poll? No.
Yeah, that's probably a good opportunity for that.
I'm sure we'll do some discussing it at SOE Live as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know, I know there's been some perception that we totally abandoned it, but to be honest with you, we are not sure what to do. Yeah, so we'll probably work with you guys and figure out what we should do with it.
And you guys, as players, should think about like the content that you're actually playing through on a daily basis. The more content that you're playing through, those are the kinds of content that they're going to be able to help put resources into. So if there's not a lot of you playing the Dungeon Maker, it's going to be really hard for them to be convinced to, hey, let's now put in all these resources into working on a system specifically for that. So just keep those kind of things in mind as you're moving forward and playing in the game and giving feedback as well. And did you have something else to add to that, Holly? Are you good? You're still
I'm reading.
Sifting? All right.
Yeah.
All right. We have Pants who says, could you XP or could you grant XP for guild halls to unlock unique guild hall features? And he gives a whole bunch of really cool ideas as well.
We probably aren't going to make an AA system for guilds, which is, I guess, what he's saying. When you get max level guild,
yeah, he's saying features like a pool of water that you can walk through.
We'll probably add
every hour, that kind of thing.
We'll probably add new amenities and new toys, but we're not going to have like an AA system.
No, there won't be a system tied to it. But these ideas are actually kind of really cool.
Guild level is going to go to 100 with everything else going to 100.
And generally we add new toys.
And we add new or improved amenities.
They have the list though. I really liked your list, Pants. And a few others, I added some of your responses to him in there as well. And then we have Tabri again, who says, will we see new research apprentice recipes in the future?
Of course.
Yes.
All right, easy one. Flatline, as we are nearing the end of the TOV expansion, could we see purple patterns on a vendor?
So there will be new ways and more ways to obtain purple war runes and adornments in the near future. Probably not on a vendor.
He said pretty please. Like, I remember his post specifically because he was like,
I'm glad you were very nice about it, but still, it's probably not going to be on a vendor.
This is one of the things that we talk about all the time, and we definitely want to improve, you know, how it works. There's a lot of complaints about it. It's a bit tedious. It's a bit hard to manage. Some people I know a lot of people really liked the Destiny Valley system. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it quite a bit, and we have some really cool ideas.
Yeah. And on the subject of purple adornments, I have a shameless plug. Come to SOE Live, and I've got some cool stuff coming on with purple adornments. That's gonna come with these.
We actually have new cool stuff coming with purple adornments too.
But we're not telling you until then, so you might want to be there.
I'm gonna find out.
I'll tell you.
Live exclusive.
Ooh, live exclusives. Definitely come to SOE Live. It's a lot of fun. These guys are all gonna be there. You can talk to us. We can like sign your arm. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
He's like, no arm signing.
We've done books though.
You've signed books?
Someone came up with a book. It was a
like
freaking
a journal
EQ2 book.
Oh, okay. Cool book. I want a book.
I've signed lots of things.
Someone came up with a T-shirt last year and asked us to sign it.
Nice. Well, see, there you go. If you want some signed stuff, there will be lots and lots of devs there. We have a tournament. We have a live quest. We have all kinds of fun things. And let's move on to the next question here. We have Error, once again, back asking more questions. Will there be any free housing items and houses in the future? Can you provide us with any details, possibly?
No.
No on which front?
We'll always add stuff to the existing systems. Like we'll always add new trade skill housing items. We'll always add new.
So that's what I think some people are
stuff that you get through stuff you get through content. Absolutely.
Right, but like free.
But not like slash claim and grab a bag full of.
I think what he meant was not for station cash.
Yeah, of course. So
more so like if I was a trade skiller.
Every
now it's
expansion, we
Has
always
some-
have a list. We always try to set stuff
We try
that's
to put
new.
fun
We
durables
support
in.
You know,
decorators.
yes, definitely
Yeah.
People
support stuff.
actually brought up some of the some Vanguard background as well, and I don't know how many of you guys have actually played Vanguard Saga of Heroes, but they had some really ridiculous amounts of things that you had to do in order to create a guild hall, and players were actually saying they would love to see that kind of challenge be there for crafters and guilds. So
I mean,
something to
maybe,
think
but
about.
we don't have any major plans for that right now.
So maybe in the future, guys.
On that front, there's a couple questions here. So somebody mentioned cross-server grouping. That's kind of on our big
Wish list.
OMG wish list.
That's something that I've mentioned multiple times. I think I just mentioned that last Thursday, right?
Yeah, so
I think
keep in
everybody on the team
mind,
wants
we're
it.
I have been
definitely
asking
going to be
for that
looking
every
into
week,
that.
guys.
It's a major. We all want it.
Yeah. There's a question about guild hall amenity NPCs like the Druid Hireling and having them be customizable. That's probably something we can look into.
That was something that they actually had an option of something like that in that
Yeah.
in that Guild AA thing too. So there's a lot of great ideas out there that I think we could actually make attainable for you guys.
And we'll
There's a
go
lot of
over the
stuff
list
here.
that you guys sent us. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go on to the next one here, which is: would you ever consider selling recipes on the marketplace?
I don't really have like we might consider it,
Not
but
any time in the future.
I don't really.
She's like, yes, no.
Stuff like that is
Really rough.
it's content, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where
Yeah.
we'd rather give it to you for playing the game, especially recipes.
Yeah, our focus is always content first.
I think they were thinking of like recipes that would create like station cache items.
Probably not.
We had a chance to do that and we opted against it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the house actors is a perfect example of that. We're selling the actors on the marketplace, not the recipe for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We don't want to be taking content away from the game because that's why we put content in the game.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. And then we have a question from Senya here, which is: will we ever see new trade skill machines or appearance items for them?
We don't have any new types of crafting stations or any new appearances for them planned right now. Sorry.
All right.
When we do new areas, sometimes art
He said
will.
Broke something.
Yes, I did. When we plan new areas or new hubs for these areas, sometimes art will, make stuff that
Spiffy things
fits
up.
the area.
Ooh, that'd be
The
cool.
problem is most of the crafting stations are pretty benign and they fit pretty much anywhere. And also you have the idea that they're instantly recognizable, right? So you know what that crafting station looks like, so you know it's a crafting station.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed is if it looked like a 57 Chevy, you might not know what to do with it.
Well, I think they mean more like different stylized.
I know what they mean.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Instantly visually recognizable is good in a game. Hey, that's the thing that blows you up.
Well, I think maybe for housing items like that you could put in your house for some of the more experienced players, that might be really cool. But definitely I can understand where you're coming from in the world aspect, for sure. And then we have a question from Kurai Hitaka, which is: would it be possible to have crafted gear be a step above quested gear?
In the expansion, there's going to be crafted gear. I mean, at above 95, crafted gear that's available and usable in all levels of gameplay. So. Yes, there will be gear that's really good from crafting. So
Awesome. There you go, crafters. Looking out for you.
Kyle, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Uh,
She has this really weird look on her face.
I'm like,
though.
I'm terrified
You guys-
now.
so no,
they didn't get it on
this
the
is a simple. So there's been several times someone's been asking, a couple people have been asking if we could add more teleportation pads for guild halls.
Oh, from 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
they've
like
been
8.
asking
or so.
Yeah, it's possible. Actually,
victory.
I believe that's on our list for level 100 because
Giving you another
the
set
plan for level 100 is not to necessarily try to give people a ton of new amenities, but improve some of the amenities that are already there. So
On
we
that
could-
point, since we're already on this topic, I'm just going to skip forward to a question by Salinair, which is: any item count increase planned?
I was just
So
going
maybe
to talk
you
about
can just
that.
go over that in general.
No.
Yeah, we don't
So
have.
angry.
So I actually have a pretty good answer for this one. So houses and guilds with large item counts are a performance nightmare.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us and for you, I mean, you always hear about people crashing when they try to load into an intensive guild hall. So we don't have any current plans to increase raw item counts. I mean, obviously, like we spoke about, we're going to give you new building blocks. And if you're talking about just inventory and not housing, we just gave you bigger bags, so.
I think they're talking about, this is all trade skill and housing.
I figured I'd give them two answers at the same time.
Okay, there you go.
But yeah, they're a performance nightmare, and we don't intend to get any more.
In regards to performance and housing, are you guys making any efforts to kind of move forward on that in that regard and try to make it a little bit easier for players when they first get in?
Like we were talking about earlier, we're always looking at ways to improve
She's like crying over there.
We're always trying to improve and prevent lag and loading times and stuff like that.
So here's the thing about housing, right? So we always talk about upping the limits on items. The problem is we can't help you help yourselves, players, because you can choose to put a lot of
stuff in one little area, right?
Or things with lots of polygons like dragon models and mount models and things. So your ability to load your own house or guild hall quite often is impeded by the decorators themselves.
Gotcha.
So we always want to give you more room to put stuff. We're always working on new housing. There's going to be, probably most decorators have seen it already, but we have a new tinkered house that's coming with Tinkerfest. And we always run into this issue. We want to be able to give you the opportunity to fill it with whatever you want, and you can make the decision yourself whether anybody could possibly load it if they tried to get into your house.
We also want to try to avoid situations where you make something that's too much for your own computer, and then you can't go into your own house and fix it.
Right.
It becomes a little bit of a hassle.
Maybe sometime in the future, we, the designers also, we've talked about doing maybe a system where, like for example, we took the count off of blocks.
Or books or something that you use a ton of.
Exactly. So we also talked about at some point perhaps a system of categorizing some items as large, medium, small, so you can have X number of small items, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that would be such a vast change. Some poor designer would have to go in and somehow categorize these things. Yeah, i.e. Mike. Yeah. So, but yeah. We always want to support decorating in any way we can and give you new awesome stuff to decorate.
And we're going to have to wrap this up, so I'm going to do one more question because Michael is very adamant on answering this specific one. This is from miscellaneous item request questions, and this is like a totally different thing that we didn't even get to yet, which is, can you add pedomorph wands to conjurer / necromancer trainer NPCs for all of the previous level pets, including adepts, master version, and master versions? Some of the lower level ones are really cool, and this is by Pants.
Okay, so Pants, we intend to implement a way to change your summoner pet appearance to any other ones that you've previously unlocked. We don't intend to do it with pedomorph wands. We'd rather add more of a system kind of like the channeler customization, but it might be a right-click context menu on the pet, and this could store when you resummon him, so it'll remember what your preferred appearance is, and you can zero it out. That's just one of the possible ways of doing it, but we want you to be able to pick your pet's appearance, because like you're right, we have a lot of cool ones. We have the fire displacer beasts, and some of the knights for necromancers are really cool, so we like that idea of customization.
Yeah, and I had been talking to you about something like that in the past too, and I thought I'm happy that something is going to be done in that regard. We're going to have to wrap it up, and I'm going to let Holly kind of talk about some of the things that are coming up really quick here and some new announcements. So let's start off with our Gear Up Level Up.
Yeah, so we got really good feedback from you guys on the Gear Up Level Up promotion. Maggie,
the feedback mostly being like 12 pages of, please continue doing this, make it last forever.
So yeah, we're extending it. It was supposed to end today. We're extending it at least through July, so you'll be able to enjoy that.
July 31st, 11:59 p.m. PDT.
Perfect. And then also from last weekend we did our Holidays in July sale, and then this weekend starting Friday at noon we're going to do double XP weekend for Adventure, Trade Skill, and AA experience.
Yes.
So through Sunday midnight.
Yes. So
PDT.
that will start on 7/11 and end 7/13 at 11:59 p.m. PDT. And just to reiterate what Gear Up Level Up is, all access members will receive the following bonuses and discounts, and this is double Adama in Tears of Vishan, which is 4 times the rewards, 25% experience bonus, 15% off Tears of Vishan expansion, 25% off heroic characters. And then we have free players will also get some bonuses, and they will receive double Edema in Tears of Vishan, which is 2 times the rewards, and that is also, they're also going to be applicable for the 15% off Tears of Vishan expansion. So look forward to that, and I I guess that's going to wrap things up here. We hope that you guys will all come see us at SOE Live. You can check out SOE Live stuff at soe.com/SOE Live. You can meet all of us in person, yell at us, and tell us all the wonderful things you want, and we can't go anywhere.
One additional thing.
Want to say that.
He's like, I will find a place to be. But there's a lot of great panels that these guys are going to be on. They're going to be doing 2 big Q&A panels. So if you have more questions than just what we just did here, that's going to be your perfect opportunity to try to get your question in. They usually have a mic in the middle, and you can walk up and ask a question. And you can even get back in the line again if you have another question.
Or 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
But remember, one at a time.
Yeah, you have to get back in the back of the line after you ask your first question. So I'm going to give everyone a moment to tell people where the players can find you or leave you feedback. So we'll start off with you, Holly, since you're over there.
Just before we go, I saw a lot of people were asking about Guild XP, Double XP. We'll look for that maybe next weekend or the weekend after.
Okay, so yeah, we're kind of splitting up what we're doing each week for XP, but we're going to be doing a lot of double experience stuff. So keep tuned in. I will be posting that on all of our socials. I guess I'll just plug that stuff right now. Follow us EverQuest 2, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Facebook, our forums. I always post stuff on our forums and Twitter and all that good stuff.
You can't find me anywhere. I'm always available. Quite frequently, if there's any issues, I ask you to email me at hlongdale@soe.sony.com, especially if there's anything urgent, which is totally fine. Honestly, it's totally fine. I obviously, given my job, I see my email sooner than I see my forum PMs. So,
or Twitter or anything.
Yeah, Twitter's good too. I'm usually monitoring that as well. But yeah.
And and she's Windstalker EQ2 with the number 2.
Yeah.
All right. And what about you, Michael? Where can people find you?
Best place to find me is on the forums. You PM me, I will always see it. I don't always respond immediately, but I always see it.
Forum handle on the forums.
Zelgood.
I think we have that.
Yeah.
So it's Zelgood.
It's just that. I don't use that Twitter handle, so I'll probably see it if you tweeted at me. If you tweeted at me, I'll probably see it because it'll email me. But forums, PM me. I read them all.
All right. Now everyone spam his Twitter and give him a lot of emails. All right. What about you?
Okay, Maggie, if 100 people follow me, I will tweet something every week.
Oh man, do it please. That would make my life so much easier. I could retweet that stuff. 100, just 100. 100 of you. Just go over there, follow him, Zelgad, right there. All right. What about you, Kyle?
What about me?
Where can people find you and leave you feedback?
People know where they can find me. No, the best place to get a hold of me is on the forums, Candor. You can PM me. I always reply to my PMs. Yeah. And like Holly, you can email me if you can figure out what my email address is.
I think it's really hard to figure
most people can, so there you go. And I have a Twitter account, but I don't remember what it's called.
It's right there.
Actually, that is spelt wrong. It's not a 2, it's II.
Yeah.
So
that's the one you should use for Twitter.
See, I have to memorize these weird things like that.
Yours is easy.
Mine's really easy. You can check out all my stuff at Margaret Crone. I'm also Lou Perza on the forums and Lou Perza in most of the places on EQ2 regarding EQ2 stuff. But yeah, you can find me at Margaret Crone, all the places on the internets. And be sure, once again, to subscribe to us on YouTube at EverQuest 2 and here on Twitch that you're watching right now. And if you're not watching live on Twitch, we do this on Wednesdays, the first Wednesday of every month, which is at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. PDT, and we usually have our EQ2 Insider thing, but we were just kind of doing a cool new Q&A because Candor wanted to try it out. So we're trying it out.
And that's the last time.
Well,
it
might be the last time, depending on how many of you guys watch. And be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and all the places, EverQuest 2. We will see you guys in another month and at SOE Live. Toodles.